is what happens when you stop running from your hair. Lessons from Ramana.
Have you ever noticed that you just can't be silent anymore? That moment when you're alone, with nothing to do, and your hand just automatically reaches for your phone. The infinite scroll, a TV series, anything, absolutely anything, except for just being there, still, with yourself. This isn't a coincidence. This is an escape. And the most brutal part, you don't even realize you're running. The escape has disguised itself as your daily routine, as I'm just relaxing. But what are you really relaxing from? From work or from yourself? We live in the noisiest era of human history, not because of machines, but because of the internal noise fed by a culture that has taught us that stopping is dangerous, that emptiness is the enemy. The entertainment industry doesn't just sell movies or shows. It sells anesthesia. It sells the promise that you don't have to feel what you're actually feeling. The psychologist Carl Jung said that people will do literally anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. He wrote that long before smartphones existed. Imagine what he would say today. And here's the paradox. The more you run, the heavier the burden you're trying to escape becomes. The pain you avoid just accumulates. It morphs into a strange anxiety without a clear cause, a void that no TV series can ever fill. The sage Ramana Maharshi spent most of his life in silence. He taught something that can feel devastating at first. Everything you are seeking out there is already in here. But to find it, you need to stop running. There's a fear that almost nobody admits to having, the fear of silence. The fear of being alone with yourself, without any distractions. Why does this terrify us so much? Because, in silence, there's no way to pretend. All the stories you tell yourself about who you are suddenly lose their soundtrack. When the music stops, you start to hear what you've been so desperately trying to drown out. Most people have never experienced 5 minutes of true silence. Not just being alone with your phone, but with absolutely nowhere to run. At first, it's just discomfort. The mind screams for stimulation. This isn't a sign of weakness. It's conditioning. Our brains have been trained to seek constant input. But if you can just endure it, layers start to fall away. First, the superficial thoughts go, what should I have for dinner? Did I reply to that email? Then, older things surface, memories, regrets. And then, something completely unexpected appears. You, not the you that's performing for the world. Not the you on social media, but the you that exists before all the masks, before all the stories about who you're supposed to be. Ramana called this the real self. It's not the ego that identifies with your name, your job, or your achievements. It's something deeper, something that's just observing everything without being touched by it. He spent days in absolute silence, not as some forced practice, but as his natural state, because he discovered that silence isn't an absence of something. It is a presence. The philosopher Pascal once said that all of humanity's problems stem from our inability to sit quietly in a room alone. We certainly haven't improved since his time, but the silence is always available. It just requires a bit of courage. The courage to discover that the monster you were so afraid of might just be a part of you that's waiting to be heard. So, who are you? If I asked you that, you'd probably answer with your name, your profession, your role in your family, your achievements or your failures. But none of that is you. That's just what you've collected. That's the character you perform. Your identity is not your essence. The mask will never be the face. Ramana dedicated his entire life to one single inquiry. Who am I? This wasn't a philosophical debate. He used it as a scalpel for dissolving everything that is false. You might say, I am my body. But your body is constantly changing. Which version of it would be the real you? The 5-year-old version? The 80-year-old version? You might say, I am my mind. But your thoughts often come and go without your permission. If you were your mind, shouldn't you have complete control over it? You might say, I am my emotions. But your emotions change from one moment to the next. Who are you when the happiness fades and sadness appears? Ramana wanted you to realize that all these definitions are prisons. The I that you spend so much energy defending is a useful fiction, but it is a fiction nonetheless. When you truly investigate this, not just by thinking about it, but by feeling into it, something extraordinary happens. You discover that behind all the masks, there's something that cannot be named. Something that is just observing, untouched by the drama of life. Jung talked about the process of individuation, of becoming a whole person. Ramana was even more radical. He didn't want you to become anything. He wanted you to discover who you already are. The question, who am I, doesn't have an answer that can be put into words. The answer is found only in silence. In pure presence. There's a war you wage every single day. It's a silent and exhausting war. It's the war against yourself, against the fear that keeps showing up, the sadness you don't want to feel, the anger that embarrasses you. You fight it, you resist it, you push it down, and you just wake up the next day even more tired. This is a war you will never, ever win. Because you're fighting the wrong enemy, Ramana taught. Don't resist. Whatever arises, let it arise. Just observe it without interfering. At first, this sounds like weakness, but it's the complete opposite. Resisting pain is like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. You can do it for a while, but it takes a huge amount of effort. And the moment you relax your grip, it explodes to the surface. The deeper you push it, the more violently it returns. Your emotions work in exactly the same way. Everything you repress comes back, often transformed into anxiety, insomnia, or sudden explosions of anger that seem to come from nowhere. What Ramana proposed wasn't to drown in your pain. It was to observe it without identifying with it. When fear appears, you simply observe. There is fear here. This tiny shift changes everything. You are not the fear. You are the one who is aware of the fear. The sage, Nisargadatta Maharaja said, what you resist persists. What you look at disappears. Accepting something doesn't mean you have to like it. It just means you stop wasting all your energy fighting what is already here. The emotions you feared are not your enemies. They are messengers. Fear is there to protect you. Sadness is there to help you heal. Anger shows you where your boundaries have been violated. They aren't the problem. Your war against them is the problem. So, what if all you ever needed to do was to just stop? Not stop living, but stop running. Stop fighting against what you are. They taught you to become someone. That a better version of you is waiting just after one more course, one more book, one more promotion. What if that's the biggest lie we've been told? Ramana didn't teach self-improvement. He taught self-recognition. Self-improvement implies that you are broken and need fixing. Self-recognition says you were never broken to begin with. You just forgot who you truly were. When you finally stop running, you don't find the monster you were so afraid of. You find presence. A quiet presence that has always been there, waiting for you. Behind every anxious thought, behind every mask you wear, something within you has remained untouched. It was never wounded, never lost. The psychiatrist Viktor Frankl wrote that the last of the human freedoms is to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. Ramana went even further. The ultimate freedom is realizing that you are the consciousness in which all circumstances appear. When you discover who you truly are, fear loses its foundation. What is there to be afraid of? You are not your job. You are not the approval of others. What dies is the body, the story. But what you really are was never born, and it can never die. After this video ends, don't immediately jump to the next one. Don't grab your phone. Just stay, for 1 minute, in silence. And ask yourself, who am I? Who is listening to these words right now? Who has always been here, patiently waiting for you to come home? The answer isn't in any video or any book. It's within you. It's not that you don't know who you are. It's that you're afraid to discover you always knew. Thanks for watching.